Don't give up on God, 'cause he won't give up on you. He's able.
Hey y'all, I'm back again for my testimony video part 2. So I got pregnant at the age of 15 years old, and it was June 14th, 2005, and about 2 weeks later, um, my grandma would tell me all the time, Jazz, you're gonna be a bad mom, and I don't blame her, because at the time, I was a horrible person, and I didn't care about myself, and I didn't love myself, but I thought, if I have this baby, my baby will love me. But the truth is that if you have a baby and you want your baby to love you, that cannot be done. And if you are having a baby and you're trying to suck the love out of the baby, you are depriving that baby of love because that baby does not know how to love. It needs love. So I'm just going to be honest. If you're thinking about having a child or you have a child and you're depriving your child of love, your child needs love. Okay? And so um, I got really mad one day and I threw the bookshelf down the stairs and I went off. What the F you mean? I'm not going to be a good mom and da 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 da. I love my baby. My baby's gonna love me. Well, I ended up going to the police station that night, and my best friend, who lived in Framingham, she drove all the way from Framingham on her bike. It was like a 2-hour ride, and she also fell and skinned her leg just so she could come rescue me because I needed to be rescued. And they were gonna lock me up, and because I was pregnant, they didn't. Well, that night I started staying at her house. Her mom came, picked me and her up, and we went to her house. And I started bleeding, and it was light. So I called the doctor the next day, and I went to go get blood work. And they called me a few days later, and they told me. I remember exactly where I was standing. I was in my house, uh, on the stairs, right near the bathroom, going towards the basement. I was playing Grand Theft Auto, I can remember. And they said, is this Jasmine Cooper? And I said, yeah. And they said, sorry to tell you, but you are losing your baby. And so I said, okay. And I clicked back over on the phone because I was talking to my child's father, the guy who I had been seeing when I was in the hospital. And I got out and I had started seeing, and I broke up with my first boyfriend for. So he said, I'm gonna go. I have to go play my video games. And, when we first had found out I was pregnant, he seemed so excited because I wanted a baby so bad. So I convinced him to get me pregnant. And, when I was pregnant, I would crave peanut butter and fluff sandwiches, and we'd go on picnics just so I could have peanut butter and fluff sandwiches because that's what I craved. And then for him to just be like, I gotta go play video games and you're losing your baby, not even being able to help me, you know. And my grandma, she didn't even like console me. I just felt like everything I had, my first boyfriend had got locked up. My mom didn't care. My dad didn't care. Like, this is how I felt. Like, I felt alone. When I went to school, um, I would hide a razor behind my phone. So just in case in the middle of the day, I could cut myself. And because I felt like no one at school really liked me. I felt like even though I'm in this school of 1,500 people, even though I'm in this world of millions and billions of people, I am all by myself, that no one cares about me, that no one will ever love me, that I will never be good enough for anybody. When am I ever going to get the time for someone to just want and need and to love me? So I ran away. I had went to the hospital and I hopped out the car. They had kicked me out of my school. I went to a new school and I hopped out of my grandma's car and I ran in the opposite direction. So she's facing the light and I ran in the opposite direction because, you know, you watch those videos in school and say, well, if a stranger's trying to pick you up, run in the opposite direction. So that's what I did. So it gave her time. So I had time enough to run away and she had to take time to turn around, you know. So I hopped on the train and I remember the lady saying, are you running away? And I said, no, just needed to get away. I was losing everything. Nothing ever, just wanted to stay in my life. I wasn't good enough. Um, so I went to Boston and I went to go stay with my child's father, even though he had, you know, not really consoled me, but I just felt wanted. And I remember it was like 4th of July, and my friend at the time, we went over to his house and he gave me the key to his apartment that he had just moved out of. So me and my child's father had went to um, that apartment and we stayed there and he had got some food for us and we brought a blanket and a pillow and we took the bus over there. And I had my CD player. I used to listen to music. Music was my escape, but it was also my influence too. But I remember it was 4th of July and us looking out the window, we were playing Scrabble and watching the fireworks out the window. And I remember I started crying. And I said, babe, I'm so tired. I'm tired. Why is this happening to me? Why won't it stop? Why do I hurt so much? Is it ever going to stop? Will it ever get better? And it felt like it was never going to get better. And I said, God, if you're real, please help me. Please help me. So I had a dream that night. And I remember getting locked up in my dream. And there was this guy. And I remember the jail I had always went to. And there was this new staff member. I had never met him before. But he was in my dream. And so I remember me and my ex were going to split up. Because we couldn't stay in the apartment no more. So I was going to go sneak into his house. And so I was waiting for him. And this guy, he tried to holler at me, and I said, no, I'm young. And he said, you can stay in this building with me. And I said, okay. And I remember before all this happened, standing in my ex-boyfriend's face and saying, if I get locked up tonight, because I had that dream, I love you, write me, please. And when I was sitting in the hallway with the guy, I woke up to the police right in my face. And I remember struggling, trying to get me into the cop car. I wouldn't go out without a fight. And I got committed. That means that the state owns you until you're 18 years old. You can't leave, eat, breathe, sleep without them knowing what you're doing. So I did 5 months in total. So in a matter of months, I had lost my boyfriend, lost my baby, and I got locked up. And he never wrote me. Not even once. And I waited every day from the day I got in to the day I got out. And I never got a letter. So I really didn't think that anybody really loved me or that I could be loved at all. My grandma visited me. My grandpa visited me. Even my aunt visited me. My dad didn't visit me. My mom didn't visit me. I just felt alone. I wanted someone to love me. You know, you can't have contact in those places. You can't hug. You can't touch. It's like, can I get a hug? Can I feel loved in some type of way? Do you really care? I stopped believing in God that night, looking out the window, because I thought He didn't love me. I said, God, I wouldn't be going through this. I wouldn't be here in this spot right now if you loved me. If you truly cared, I wouldn't be going through this. I had met this girl. She was my roommate. We used to play spades every day. I'd loved this girl, man. She was awesome. We were wild together. But she didn't know how I felt inside. And I didn't care to know how she felt inside either. So she introduced me to her child's father. And I really hurt her because I started seeing him on the low. We were on the phone one night and she hung up. And when she hung up, I didn't hang up. And I started talking to him. And he was a gang member of Folk Nation in Boston. And he used to sell crack, and I used to hide it in my bra and help him do his runs with him. And he was so into his gang, and I just thought he was so awesome. But he was rough, kind of mean. But I didn't care. I just wanted somebody to love me. So we would smoke weed all day and drink. And he'd be like, drink this, drink it, and smoke and smoke. And I used to smoke my cigarettes like crazy. The way I smoked cigarettes was the way he smoked his blunt. Back to back to back to back to back. And I would get tore up all day long. So I remember he used to tell me, I'm going to have people watching you around the block when I'd leave his house. Now, during the time that I was dating her child's father, I was still talking to the guy I lost the baby with. He had moved on to a new girl, and I tried my hardest to break them up, and I did eventually. And he told me I couldn't be with him because he was so far away, so I left my house. I ran. I'm a runner. That's what I do. So I lived on the streets so I could be close to him. And I started selling my body at the age of 16 years old. Because that's how bad I wanted to be with him. And I remember I met this guy on the street and he said, if you need a place to stay, hit me up. And I said, all right. He said, I live right up the street. And so I went to the house one day and he came down and he introduced me to this woman, and she was really skinny and frail. And she had these boots on and she pulled out a crack pipe. And I had known crack. You know, I had started dating that other guy and he was selling crack.